Well, you have to scan it.
Oh.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Patty knows how to do
Works.
it. It's Barton County
Gee whiz,
alone.
that's pretty fast. Might want to slow that up a little bit, big fella.
Hello, my name is Olivia and I'm presenting today on self-care. Are you taking care of yourself? At a young age, we are taught how to take care of ourselves. From brushing our teeth, combing our hair, making our bed, and even potty training, our parents showed us how to take care of ourselves. Just as we needed to learn to take care of ourselves in physical ways when we were younger, like brushing our teeth, combing our hair, and going to the bathroom, we need to learn how to take care of ourselves just as much today, or maybe even more. This is what I call self-care. Although you don't have to call it self-care if you don't want to. I know some men may not like the way it sounds or feel like it really applies to them. I hope to change that, but for simplicity and the purpose of this speech, this is what I will call it today. Terms and wordiness aside, the point is to learn how to manage your stress. We all need that at times, don't we? Sometimes we forget how important it is to take care of ourselves, however. Self-care can redefine the crummy parts of your life and how happy you are. Today I hope to shed light on why self-care matters and give you practical applications of self-care that you can implement in your daily life. In my speech, I will discuss why and how to practice self-care in your personal life and in your professional life. In your close relationships, have you ever been in a fight with someone because you were stressed out? You weren't necessarily mad or upset with them, but you expressed yourself in a way that such started a fight. And this one situation, self-care can actually help decrease the frequency of or limit completely. Wouldn't that be nice? In this part of my speech, I will explain why self-care is important in your personal life and close relationships. One reason to practice self-care is that it will positively impact your self-esteem and focus. Now, to explain how self-esteem and self-care are related, I will reference an interesting article I found during my research. In a blog post by Emily Roberts, a psychotherapist, she explains how self-esteem and self-care are related. Her explanation is that by not practicing self-care or limiting the things you enjoy, you can actually deplete your confidence and self-esteem. Furthermore, if we are not experiencing joy and fulfillment, it can lead to a lesser sense of self and purpose. In short, having fun is sometimes the best medicine. So, self-care is important to build self-confidence and self-esteem. The next reason to practice self-care in our own personal life and close relationships is that self-care can lead to healthier relationships. Once we build our own self-esteem, we can be better for those around us. By managing our own stress ahead of time through self-care, we could prevent little fights with our loved ones like the one I previously mentioned. In nearly every relationship, but especially close relationships, tension and stress will occur. Some examples of close relationships are husband-wife, friend-to-friend, sister-to-sister, brother-sister, and parent-child. The list goes on. Now, what I want you to think about in the context of the relationships I previously mentioned is how do you maintain a healthy bond? Happiness is probably a key component. So when we are off track in our happiness, how do we get back on track? In an article published in the Washington Post in 2017, Lindsay Roberts explains a very powerful metaphor for why self-care is important. Allow me to read it. In traditional ground-fought wars, the command posts behind the lines would often have hot coffee, good food, and dry clothes. But was this because the generals were selfish, or because they deserved it for having made the highest ranks in the military? No. It was because if the command fell or experienced slow morale, the rest of the troops, and indeed the entire war effort, would be in jeopardy. Those leaders making critical decisions needed to be at their best. Now think of that in terms of parenting. Parents are the generals of their household. How do you, in particular, those who stay at home with children, feel day after day, hour after hour, with no real break in sight? Is your coffee hot and your clothing dry? Probably not. And fact continues, how do you think your troops at home will fare? Not well if you're not well. Self-care is not selfish. It's one of the best things you can do for your kids. Taking a break from family can cause guilt and anxiety in mothers and fathers alike. But a few hours away can re-energize you so you can get back to playing Legos, making dinner, and taking care of everybody else. Then further on, this article quotes Amy Danielson, who's the director of Women's Mental Health Program at MedStar Georgetown University Hospital in the district. What Amy Danielson said is, the question I ask moms is, if you were choosing a child care provider and you had a choice between someone who seemed stressed, tired, and overwhelmed versus someone who seemed Rested, contented, happy, and healthy, who would you want for your kids? Danielson says, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your kids. The overarching theme I hope you realize is that by taking care of yourself, you can better take care of those closest to you. These metaphors don't only apply to parents, but also in every relationship there's stress and people get exhausted. So think about this in terms of each and every relationship. By better taking care of yourself, you can better take care of your friend, any family member, or child. But all this may be easier said than done. So here are a few practical applications to try. There are a few sayings in the medical world that are timeless. Sleep well, eat well, and exercise is one of those. I'm sure you've heard this before, or maybe even know it by heart at this point, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because the truth is that all of these aspects of life accumulate to help more than simply your body and physical health. Exercise is also important for your mental health. For example, in a study conducted in 2014 and reviewed by Virginia Commonwealth University that studied the effects of yoga on women struggling with major depressive disorder, they found that yoga helped long-term with their symptoms of depression. Also, in a scientific publication posted on Nature Reviews in 2008, stated that aerobic exercise can improve a number of aspects in cognition and performance. Yoga and aerobic exercise like running, walking, biking, and swimming are all great ways to practice self-care. You can also practice self-care in physical ways by getting outside, lighting a candle of your favorite scent, petting a dog and spending time with animals, getting out of town, getting enough sleep, eating healthy, and so many more things. One of my favorite ways to practice self-care is by putting on my favorite sweatshirt, like this one, or drinking a cup of ice water, or even having a glass of hot tea. So I brought a couple of tea tags from the cups of tea that I drink to give to you guys. This one says, life is a flow of love. Your participation is requested. Oh no. And this one says, if we give happiness to others, we will end up happy. All right. Another way to practice self-care is by tuning into yourself. What calms your mind down and relaxes you? What feeds your spirit? This may be reading, unplugging from all electronics for a whole day, or spending time with uplifting people, listening to music, getting some sunshine, taking some deep breaths and meditating, going to the mall for some retail therapy, as long as it's reasonable, or watching a funny movie. In an article published on the American Psychological Association website, Dr. Garoy expresses why it's important for him to practice self-care. While he was working to get his doctorate, he felt burnout creeping in, so he took action. In order to push back his burnout, he started taking 15-minute coffee breaks while he was working in order to give his mind time to rejuvenate. Burnout is a real threat, especially for those who work in restaurants, the medical field, or in academia. According to Statista, over half of the employees in the fields listed above feel that their job is bad for their health. How ironic that those working in healthcare feel that it is hurting their health. If you feel like you're experiencing burnout or need to revive your mind, I hope you can take a few practical suggestions with you today from my speech. In summary, everyone can practice self-care a little more in their life in one way or another, whether that be in order to relieve the strain on an unhealthy, intense relationship or ease your symptoms of burnout. I hope I persuaded you to give self-care a try. Go for a walk, take a minute to smell the roses, refresh yourself with a good night's sleep or a nap. The point is to take care of yourself, and you'll be able to better take care of others in return. Thank you for listening.
Okay, 9 minutes right on the dot.
Really? Perfect. That's so funny when you time it, it's like 11.